Lesson 3: The Self from Anthropological Perspective. Much of the self is learned by making new memories out of old ones. So this is the main point of anthropological view of self, the way we see ourselves in the past and at present. Anthropology is the study of people, past, present, which focuses on understanding the human condition and its cultural aspect. It is also concerned with how humans evolve and how they differ from one another. In anthropology, it has different directions. It could be the application of biology, cultural studies, archaeology, linguistics, and other social sciences which study humanity. In social anthropology, it studies patterns of behavior, while cultural anthropology, it focuses more on cultural meaning, including the norms and values of people in a certain group. Makikilala natin kung sino ang self, kung ano ang self natin by trying to look into the historical part of our self, including citizenship. In most dictionaries, the term Filipino is defined as belonging or relating to the Philippine or to its people and culture. So, literally, pag sinabi nating Filipino, ikaw ay pinanganak sa Pilipinas at nakatira sa bansang Pilipinas. Well, anthropologically, it may be different. To belong to a Filipino nation is not necessarily implying a legal association to a country, but it entails responsibility to live and protect the country's cherished values. So, ibig sabihin, hindi lang pala tayo humahanga na tayo ay mga masasabing Pilipino kung tayo ay nakatira sa bansang Pilipinas, meron pala tayong responsibilidad to protect the countries and our cherished values. Ito yung mga values na we adopted and accepted from generation to generation, which is already part of our way of life. So therefore, in order to be called Filipino, you will have to belong to the Filipino people and adopt their culture. And in this perspective, the self must be embedded in the culture. Kasi masasabi natin yung sarili natin, madidescribe natin yung sarili natin based on the culture that we have embraced. Kaya nga ang sabi ni Edward Hall, one of the most effective ways to learn about oneself is by taking seriously the culture of others. It forces you to pay attention to those details of the life which differentiates them from you. Okay? Para maintindihan mo sila, para maintindihan mo yung ibang tao, intindihin mo yung kanilang kultura because that is the way we could describe them. The culture is derived from the Latin word cultura, meaning care or cultivation. At there are two types of culture, the material and non-material. So material, ito yung mga makikita natin tulad ng mga artifacts, flag. Pag non-material naman, hindi siya directly na nakikita pero na-observe siya sa ibang tao katulad ng mga paniniwala at tradisyon. So identity refers to who the person is or the traits of an individual that make him or her different from others. In relation to culture, example, being thrifty are known among Ilocanos. Being sweet are known among Ilongga. And good in terms of cooking are the distinct trait of those people in Pampanga. So identity also refers to how person sees and expresses oneself. Now, cultural identity refers to the identity or feeling of belongingness to a certain culture group. One might identify himself or herself as Filipino because they embrace Filipino cultural ways and traditions to which they have been exposed while they are growing up. Okay, so cultural identity. Ito halimbawa yung pagmamano, pagsasabi ng po and opo, paggalang sa matatanda, yun, part of their identity, cultural identity. Nation is a group of people built on the premise of shared customs, traditions, religions, language, art, history, and more. It also refers to the identity or feelings of belongingness to one state or nation. It is a body of people who feels that they are part of the nation. So, pag sinabi nating national identity, meron tayong characteristics na nagre-represent to a certain nation. Now, in relation to different branches of anthropology, we have biological anthropology. This represents biological strengths and vulnerabilities. Our self as physical being could have strengths and vulnerabilities. We also grow or evolve, and we have the capacity to adapt to our environment. Now, in linguistic anthropology, human survival is primarily linked to their ability to communicate. So our self can be freely expressed through language. So linguistic anthropology also focuses on the language as a means to discover a group's manner of social interaction and his worldview. So meaning to say, wherever we are, as long as we have the ability to communicate, say for instance, we are literate in speaking universal language, then that is our way to express ourselves and deal with other people from different point of the world. And lastly, the cultural anthropology, which was already discussed. Okay, we have already provided some ideas about culture. In addition, culture is described as a group of people's way of life. It includes their behavior, belief, values, and symbols transmitted through communication and imitation from generation to generation. So, madidescribe natin ang self by means of identifying kung ano yung naging values nila in the past and their behaviors, because it can be transmitted to the next generation through communication, and that communication could be verbalized through the use of language.